Yo, yo, hello, hello, can you hear me, see me, are you there? I know somewhere out there you should be, but we gotta get everything synced up, situated, and going on. We gotta get all the different places I could be popping up at to show up all at the same time, like a sing along. We're just slowly getting there. I know, it's coming. It's for real. Just wait, hold on a second. I know, you can't wait for it to happen, but and it will eventually get there. Just got to give us a few more seconds to spare. You can't wait for it to happen. I'm perfectly aware that you're just sitting back and waiting for me to say this one little thing. Simply, welcome to the show. Alright, yo, I'm 3D, and this is 3D Changes Perspectives, where I'm going to try to change your perspective about something. Today we were going to have, well, I was wanting to hopefully get a speaker on, and this has happened before. I'm very terrible at getting these things situated. Um, so I did extend the offer and say, hey, if there's another time that you want to come on and talk about this further, I will be down. So we're going to do the exact same thing we did that one time. This is not a first thing. This is probably just the way it's going more often. But we are going to be, that's right, talking about conduit. But not just conduit, we're also going to be talking about something we kind of covered. I think it was like the last episode or the episode before that. Now, I didn't come on last time. I got into a fight with a tree and ended up not being able to show up at all. So I apologize for that. But today, we're really going to be talking about things that we don't normally just straight up talk about. So, before I go any further, I want to go ahead and thank the sponsor of today's episode. Um, if you look down in the corner, you'll see a QR with the S that is for Stonebook, as right here. You can also scan this QR right now to go ahead and grab your Stone Book Shield Folio. And if you don't know what that is, that's an actual book where you can write down your passwords, your crypto keys, anything you don't want to lose. You can write it down in this book, and the paper is made from stone, so it's not going to fade, it's not going to go away, it's not going to tear. It's water resistant or resilient. It even you can even get like a UV pen, ghost pen that actually allow you to do different things. For example, like hide additional information in plain sight. So we have this thing where if you go on and you use the Bitcoin Live 20, you'll go ahead and get 20% off today if you buy Shield Folio. So we want to go ahead and thank them for letting us come on, and we're going to go ahead and drop in through the drop-ins. Oh, I just realized I don't have the drop-ins up and going. So I guess we're going to just skip the... No, I'm not going to skip the drop-in. Are you crazy? Just give me a couple seconds. I also was in the middle of getting the... I was in the middle of getting the chat from YouTube up on screen. So if you go ahead and jump over from wherever you're at to YouTube, you'll be able to very simply comment, and here soon those comments will actually appear on screen. Um, Here we go. Can't believe I completely forgot my drop-ins. I had my monitor on this time, but we're gonna go ahead and do this. Thank you everybody for showing up to get it going and rolling in. Sorry, the thing flipped on me. Woo. Yeah, thank you again, Shield Folio. I'm sorry, I am all over the place today. Um, hopefully the mic will be louder. I noticed that did increase the volume of the ad. My apologies. I was not expecting that one at all. Um, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second because we're just about to get it on screen if I can get something to agree with me. Anyways, what I mean is the chat. So today we're going talking about conduit proof of action. That's where we're going to start at least. And this is such a weird situation um, because if you don't know what conduit is, um, it is a hybrid proof of action chain. And hybrid meaning it's a proof of work and proof of stake. Um, and I know immediately most people probably won't 100% understand what that means, but we're going to get into the thick of it for sure. But the short of it is basically hybrid chains have always been broken. You cannot have a secure proof of work from proof of stake. It's just impossible. It would require you to just basically be running two proofs at the same time, which you can do. Those are Mopag or something like that have a different name for it. Um, that basically means the exact same thing. Okay, where is my chat? Hold on a second. I know I just said that out loud, and it's because I need you guys. Man, I could not find it. There it goes. Boom. There it is. I had it up, but I couldn't get it to pop in. Anyways, it's a very flawed model, and by the flaw that it mostly has, it has tons of different names. There are various different ways to describe it. Um, and I think the best way it's known is you're simply just like rewrapping something that's been submitted with a higher tax or charge proof in order to get blocked before the legit sender. Um, so that way you can actually prevent the legit sender from posting that data or that blob of information. And so right there, that kind of gives you a little bit of information about what Conduit is going to be doing. It's going to be doing more than just transactions. So in testing with small proofs, work a hybrid and proof of stake chains with specifically the proof of action consensus. This could at times be done within the same block the sender was trying to get blocked, and at worst, both would get blocked in the same block, which now you have two verified blobs, one intended and one unintended, and which means verification could be impossible, or you'll see whichever one comes in first. And there's actually a way to predetermine hashing to try to get the uh, smallest possible front end of your hash, which means yours would show up first, and you would always be visible. Um, and that's basically where we're going to start, because this is a very unusual situation. And that's kind of why we wanted to get into it today, because this isn't a normal everyday thing that we're going to be talking about. It's going to start off that way though, but it definitely is not your normal everyday thing. All right, boom, conduit. Like always, when we go to web pages that have a link, we will yeah, there it goes. We will pop in a QR. Sorry, my computer's a little bit slow today, everybody. That's why I keep getting jumbled. So you'll see a QR pop up, and basically all that QR is going to let you do is scan it, and you can follow along whether we're live or not. You're coming back to a different time or anything like that. So that way you can always come back, find out more information and whatnot. So this is Conduit. So Conduit, um, it says right here it's a decentralized cloud. It's all about data, less about transactions. So the issue most hybrid chains is the work proof is too low, and oftentimes it's guessable, which means you can actually uh, just have a simple guess model to guess hashes as long as they suit a certain search parameter. It will work. The issue with most POA consensus is that there is no way to prove an owner of the data blob. If there's two data blobs equal in data competing on the same chain, and if there's more than one on the same network, you run into higher chances of the other unintended or attacked blob gaining the popularity or considered the correct data blob, meaning your information or your data could be completely lost. Even though it's there, it would just be booted off the chain or put into limbo. Um, Now, in the past, people have actually used limbo status on Bitcoin to create data blocks in Bitcoin, but most people prune those out, so very few people even see it. So that's something that you could do as well. Like if you one is trying to do that on purpose, but this would not be the chain to do that because this doesn't have that type of always viewable limbo like Bitcoin does. So we're going to go a little bit further now. If you want to get more information about proof of action blockchains, um, there's tons of information. We're just going to get you a link for searches because this is a pretty good one with outputs that are pretty decent that you're going to be okay. And yeah, proof of authority. In case you're wondering, there were two ways to fix this problem with POA, and proof of authority is the main one that everyone uses for hybrid chains. Binance being the one and only chain known to 100% use the authority action on hybrid chains. So basically, that means that everything on Binance is completely controlled by Binance, meaning like there's actually some kind of system that approves stuff automatically, but it could be there's a list that can deny it automatically as well. So here is one of the other fixes. So the first major fix was a way of wrapping data. Um, Wrapping data can be done for different reasons or whatever, but basically one of the fixes was simply um, how we wrap the data and then allowing us to do certain things where we could basically decrypt parts of the hash to get specific amounts of information like metadata. So we could actually verify more data beyond what we just see without opening it fully up. But one of the other things is that he did was making it where we could fully open it up. So what you just saw there was itty bitty site. It's a main protocol or a type of internet-based protocol where it's starting to become one. They use a bunch of different systems to compress your data. They do compressed CRCs to wrap the full data plus metadata and for provability. And then when people realized they could embed wallet public keys into the data blob, provable data blobs, um, this basically would protect against that shadow wrapping that we were talking about earlier. So again, using a system like this, we could literally put our public key proof in our data blob, allowing ownership to be validated or validatable. Now, it's not an actual fix. It's one of the ways of fixing, but if someone was to take more time out to just sit there and go through and scrub that data blob, decompress it and um, whatnot, then they could change that amount of information, rewrap it, and whatnot. So it comes down to same issue. Now that takes more time to do, and with this system, the itty bitty system, you can actually wrap so much entropy by wrapping the chain on it that basically you could verify it hasn't been changed simply from the entropy data. Which again, if you wrap the entire chain that it's connected behind it, if it ever gets changed, there's a chance that this original might be in that backend data. And if so, you have a front end to scrub with back end. Just reduce what data you're looking at and check. And if you find it, you know it's not the original. So that's even like a way to do updatable information on chain or immutable data, which has not, from my understanding, ever been done on chain yet, other than like itty bitty site and private paper. So I I don't have a link here, but this is what got us to where we're at today. This is where I was gonna let Graham talk or whatever, and a combination of things. I'm really bad at setting these up, getting people on here. In case you're ever wondering, if you're ever wanting to be on the show, contacting me personally to be on the show is not the way to go. I'm terrible at setting this up. The guys at the network, they do it better than I do. But then I also had problems with my computer today. I was trying to get the Jitsi running, and I just couldn't get it to load right. I was having issues. So we weren't able to get him on. So I'm hoping maybe I'll get him on here another time. And we can have more just like a chat about it, because this is what got us where we're at. This post right here. The D-pin hype cycle is for real, for real. In this author's view, competition and extinct in the sector for its unnecessary. Partnerships and cooperation will rise all boats. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm willing to be wrong, but I'm not wrong though. Why mine Bitcoin when you could mine Conduit? And I mean, just looking at from the information on here, I would want to mine Bitcoin just from this information. Just from this information, I see that block confirms it's really fast. So meaning there's a lot more processing that's going to have to be done per second instead of per 10 minutes. So instead of my miners sitting there, my node's sitting there doing work, and my miner is sitting there just constantly work. My node is now going to be a miner itself. So now I'm generating double the heat, more power being used. The computers, the nodes go down. They don't last as long as like an ASIC or something. So I'm like all sorts of problems. Um, Generating tokens, like obviously that means the tokens are worth way less. Energy needed to produce these tokens, meaning like people are just going to be able to produce these on the fly. Um, so I mean, like, there's a lot of bad things that we see, and honestly, I think it's in the next one. I was a little bit confused. Um, and I'll be honest with you, I did not even notice it says for real in there. In case you're wondering, Graham does not talk like that. Graham didn't. Once me and him spoke about this, and I noticed he pointed out the wording, and I went, "Oh shit, this is like something my daughter would say. This is how my daughter talks." You know, like with the usage of words and like the reusing of the exact same sentence. Saying, "Tell me I'm wrong. I'm not going to be wrong, but I'm not wrong though." Like that's not, that's like Zoomer stuff, or even millennials. Um, so I was like, straight up, how is this different than POA mining? My point being, POA is a hybrid POS system or proof of stake system that turned out to be too manipulative, where its activity should secure is left a hole for the work was light, and the hash was wrapped CRC. And individual DLT co-op networks are generally open to this though. And meaning open to this vulnerability is what that means. And then he saw that, and he was like, proof of economic activity and other matters. We should do a podcast on the matter, and we still do want to talk about this. So this is one I'm still trying to get him on. We're gonna hopefully get him on here eventually to do this part eventually, this talk right here, because he's not wrong. Proof of activity is a type of thing I wanted for a long time. I kept saying there's gotta be a way to do it right, and the way private paper does it, I think, is the right way to do it, and it is though individual DLTs. Um, Doing cross DLT networking is the harder one to figure out, and I don't know. Someone could do it. I think Graham and me and a few other people, we got some good heads together. We could figure it out. But anyways, back to what we're talking about. Um, so we set up this thing, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna do. And if I point out here, it would be fun, and we can talk about the systems behind how they handle security. Building a hash network, like private paper, unfortunately taught me um, much about the hash techniques for security instead of the hash manipulative security. And in case you're wondering, hash technical security is basically running security through hashing. And hash manipulative security is doing a general hash that can be manipulated to make security proofs, not actual security, though. And I know that sounds the same, but having a hash that is secure is different than having a hash that has almost nothing in it or potentially nothing in it that can be manipulated to get your data out. That's not secure. Just because it doesn't have it, if it can be manipulated, it's not technically secure. Um, so when we were talking, he pointed out that he noticed some other strange stuff about this, but he never saw the original post until I literally sent him the post. So we can see there's other interactions. And if we go down here, we see this one down here by Ronnie Ralph, a screenshot of Bitcoin going to zero. This other, it doesn't make any sense. Well, there's a couple of these that didn't make really any sense. So here we go, Ronnie Ralph. The scenario of Bitcoin going to zero does not exist anymore. Bitcoin is playing much the same role as gold did. And none of this is about anything in any of the posts, in anything. Like this was directly commented on what Graham said originally. So, and according to Graham, that wasn't even him that got said, and we'll get to that in a second. But this just 100% bot activity, and the original post he's replying to 100% bot written. And I say bot written means it's a script and stuff is plugged in on the fly. Same way I do my user feedback communication hashes, which are just pre-generated, and it's scripts. They're scripts for software and webware and your websites. And so when you click, sometimes you click on something too many times and you're like, what's not happening? Sometimes it pops up a little thing and it'll say, you know, try a different button, or like if you're trying to, like, say you're at the home page and you're trying to click the home page, it might say you're at home, you're already here, this is your current location, little things like that. So those little tooltip pop-ups can be hashed into things. So this what we're seeing, and then this refers to, oh, that just dropped out. Uh, it referred to a person who ended up, you'll see what it is. You see, here's the other one, almost the exact same type of wording, but different. Also referring to a person. Let's see if I can click on the right button this time. And it refers to this person. Now, the other one also was referring to was a famous person. Neither of these are their real accounts. So, neither of these are real. As odd, though, as it is, I'm just now noticing someone on the Bitcoin network actually follows this person. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna see something real fast. Do 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 do. Okay. So here's the other one, because I wanted to make sure this person wasn't me. All right, now this one, I don't remember if this is an actual famous person or not. I don't think so, or like the picture was, but the name was, but the picture isn't, or something like that. And this, I believe, is the bot runner. So what that means is you always have a person out there that bots basically are following this person, and they do automated systems, and this person normally pays for those bots to do that. And this is who that first bot was referring to, and the wording in their first post is the same wording we see in this post, which refers to this person who is not the real Whitney Phillips. So in that case, you're following the wrong Whitney Phillips, bro. Maybe not. I'm looking at it, and this is gonna be. I can't even tell. I really can't tell. I don't believe this is the real Sweeney Phillips. When I first looked this up, I didn't get a screenshot of the real whatever, but the handle was wrong. I believe it's sweet with two E's, not sweat. No one noticed that. Sweat, N-O-P-T. Shouldn't it be sweet? I don't know. The face right here is not the same. It's not who it should be. Yeah, it's wrong. So, we noticed those were together. So, I immediately was like, okay, so I guess we got to do this a little bit. I was like, Brosive, does that mean, like, do you have AI assistants. And honestly, I knew he did. Okay. And it came down to something like kinda, maybe. I can't even fully say it, right? So I was like, well, we just did this episode not too long ago, bro. And you know, I mean, like, I accidentally discovered this really crazy thing where, like, you know, apps can talk to themselves through their own search query because they're all just using SQL like, and SQL, it all interconnects. So um, I was just pointing out that yeah, we was pointing out how this works and the fact that you can go into one database and there's a way to search from inside that database externally to other databases, and you can actually pull data from one of your programs on your computer phone, any computer or any phone, through any other any other app on that dang computer or phone, as long as they're stored on the same spot. And he was just like, wait, same spot? Yeah, if they're stored in the same memory drive, boom, they can talk to each other. Whether you want them to or not, they can. Why doesn't it just let me just automatically go to the thing? And am I clicking on the wrong button? I bet you guys are looking at me going, he's clicking on the wrong button. That probably was. So, plant hopping. What are your favorite sites? Where's the privacy? Yeah, so around this area, um, I believe where's the privacy? Yeah, this one. So, if you come back and watch this video, where's the privacy? Episode number 41 of 3D Changes Perspective, I go over how Telegram, iCloud, and Signal all connectively talk to each other through their database. Through their database. They grab data from the other one. They don't actually talk to you. So basically, you can steal information from the other one. And that turned out most likely how AI taskers, to AIs that are designed to actually do jobs. So those are normally what your assistants are. They're a combination of multiple AI taskers. They will do whatever it is they're designed to do. If they're designed to post, they will post. And this is something a lot of people don't understand. They're like a virus. A lot of AIs are modified viruses to do what they got to do. They don't care because you were giving them control and power. And a lot of people think, well, you got to give them permissions and you got to do this. No, no, you don't. If they have API access, that is all the permissions they fucking need. They have access to internet. Now they do because you give them API access. API access also means internal scrubbing API. It means internal data on your phone. That's normally what you say, I don't want this or I do want this. Fine. But it can do its own internal database scrubbing without you even knowing it and no logs. Okay, sure. And an app can DDoS itself to activate that method of scrubbing or searching itself of its own database legally. And now you have a combination of things that we can basically say, well, that's a virus, bro. Most of your applications are just viruses. And so one of the things to kind of prove what's been going on was like we kind of came to this conclusion of, okay, it's doing what it's going to do, right? And then we got into this talk about the algorithms. This is one of my babies. This is what I know, algorithms, right? And I was kind of like, well, there's a big part of the Twitter algorithm that's just kind of opened up. And I don't want to go over this. This is the official X Twitter algorithm. As you can see, it says up there, it is X Twitter. They just need to change the name to X Twitter, leave the X symbol, admit that it's still Twitter, and people will be happy as fuck. So then we were like, okay, I was like, there's got to be a better way to explain this. So a lot of people, if we were to explain to you how the Twitter algorithm is screwing you, and how an AI reaching the algorithm allows for the bot maker who inserted this script into GitHub somewhere randomly, unknowingly, that seems to be in all AIs now, to search for its owner. We saw you saw the posts. Those were AI generated posts that was made for Graham, that Graham did not want to make, that it was posted, that its bot owners bots recognized the text wording and just commented and directed people to two people, which most likely is just the same bot owner. It's most likely just one person who's got thousands of accounts, multiple accounts. You got to pay a lot of money for the API, so you got to make sure you have a lot more than just like one account under it, right? So I looked up some stuff because I figured if we are going to be talking about algorithms, you guys might need to know a little bit more information. So I got a bunch of stuff to kind of help you guys learn about algorithms. You want to learn about how Twitter makes you famous or whatever, whatever. And because one of the things I recommended was stop paying for Twitter. They put ads on your screen. You're paying for Twitter. Stop paying for Twitter any other way. You want the algorithm to work? Stop paying for Twitter. You want things to work better for you? Stop paying for Twitter. And so this is for you guys. It says there's orange in here, but I'm not seeing any orange. Is it really far down? Ah, it is. Whew. We'll go over some of that. So, how does the algorithm work? So, some main points to look at. Candidate sourcing is the procedure that gathers all the tweets that could be of interest to a certain user. This is a mix of about 1,500 tweets from accounts that you follow as well as accounts you don't follow. These two sources are labeled in network, out of network. For most social media platforms, it makes sense to represent users internally as a connected graph, where users are represented as nodes and followers are represented as edges between these nodes, hence the term network. I'm not entirely certain where the nodes and edges look like and exactly how they. Basically, this person doesn't know, but basically it looks like dots and lines, okay? That's what it really looks like, dots and lines. We've actually covered that before. So, um, over the years, they've released a number of papers and methods of how to use internally, traverse, and find data on the network, most notably the two algorithms Railgraph and GraphJet, which we'll discuss in this section. So in the network, to aggregate tweets from people that one follows, the Railgraph framework is used. Railgraph is a method that can estimate the likelihood of a certain interaction, like basically how likely are you to interact with it. Okay, and then when we go out of network sources, it's to aggregate tweets that a user doesn't follow. Tweet makes their use of GraphJet engine, and you'll see GraphJet evolved from Crossvary, and Crossvary was the best for a long time, which now they use WTF for who to follow, not what the fuck, but actually most people tend to call it what the fuck anyways because it sucks. And then you have Salsa, which again sucks. It's sophisticated approach for link structure analysis. So we were going to be talking about pretty complicated stuff, but we're going to try to say it simply. And one of the things that I noticed is when we were looking at the actual algorithm, something I pointed this out to Graham, I've pointed this out to many people, is there is still so much not here. Just tons of stuff still just simply not here. I don't see tons of things like not present here. This is so very little amounts of data. I think if anything, this is more of the explainer. But that's it. What? And you're saying that, and you're like, well, this is the README. This is where a lot of data should be at. So something I found going through here, if I can get the page, everything was loaded up earlier. I apologize for all this. Like I said, I'm having a little bit of computer troubles. I noticed that a lot of people were kind of trying to explain the algorithm, right? And I don't know. They all seem to just be the exact same things, but this one has a bit more here. So I ain't gonna go over it, but we are gonna go over it. We're gonna go with the pictures. Um, so if we look, this is the main steps to the algorithm. We have our data collection. Okay, sort the data, stuff like that. Then we're starting to see these things to see how likely are we to mess with that data. So how likely are we to click it, touch it, play with it, and then based on what actually happens, that is used for next time. That goes into log data. So this might be out of, but features is the output of whatever we just did. We'll get an output we put into, no, features is still aggregating that data, what we just saw. And then now we're going to home mixer, um, which it's going to be a little bit more complicated than what we see up here, but it's a combination of things being mixed together simultaneously as a whole, or a batch. That might most likely batch, probably a better word. Then it's going to go into a neural network, which is just a weight scale network. It's just going to make a bunch of determinations based on what it sees. And it's going to allow weights and then change those data values over and over until it outputs very little, or what information it does output. So this is another way to look at networks. Okay, in this case, so when we're doing the neural network thing, um, it's going to be weighting stuff based on single words or combination of text, like news, NBA, pop, soccer, Bollywood. You might even have things like black pill or common hashtags might be terms. So, and I'm not saying that these are all, but I'm saying it could be any kind of combination of things, but they're very short and precise amounts of data, even though it's very generic, it's short and precise. News is not comedy, is it? No. NBA is not um, tennis, is it? No. Pop is not soda, is it? No. So, I mean, like, we can very precisely say something and describe something very broadly generic. And it works out. There's a reason why it works out. It's reducing it down to a base value minimal. So that's why they get very little output. Then we go into filtering. This is a lot of times where you do feedback testing for training models to really give them information. Um, and this is just going to be another methodology of aggregating what output comes and manipulating that to the input, which allows us, like, stuff like this. For example, this is the current integration of uh, different in network, out network integration to what you have. And if you notice, they still use cross-vary and some of this, so it's like they're referencing old ways because they're still using cross-vary to give us the WTF, or what to find, or the what the fuck database. And then eventually we get into the data, the fetch blender, which then blends all of that into an output. So then you come to here. This is the actual mixer. So it mixes everything we saw, plus adds, and outputs that to what we see as a timeline. Now, that is not 100% true, and it is, because like it pushes out to a timeline, but what you see in a timeline isn't even all of what it should be there. Like you're seeing a subsection of it, and allows you to have more and more and more as you go. And that timeline can change as you go. Like people have done videos in the past. I've done videos in the past where you're going up and down the timeline on a cell phone, on an Android specifically, Android. And if you go down far enough, not only can you hit the bottom and things like that, but then when you go back up, sometimes stuff changes or moves around. It's not always in the same locations and such. So you can see the mixer happening quite more often than it shows to. So then I had found this site, and I was like, this really is fairly decent explanation of what's actually going on. A lot of it's exactly the same stuff you're seeing on all the other stuff. But I mean, this one actually really does have more of a, we're doing it per se from our perspective. Like, it almost looks like they have a third party person that went over and is showing you everything. And they really show you what I mean. You see, like, they're actually showing you where to find stuff and how to do this and how to do that. And to kind of give you more control over your Twitter. So I wanted to give you guys this because this was a really good one to learn how to actually use Twitter to your advantage. Um, so uh, I wanted to be able to prove to you guys that the Twitter algorithm actually isn't transparent. Because people don't believe me when I say that. I'm like, well, yeah, sure, they tell you a bunch, but it's not actually transparent. So I found this site. I found this thing. Twitter publishes its tweet ranking algorithm data on GitHub. It's the name of this article, in case you're wondering what I just read. Despite Twitter noting it had opted to not release training data or model weights associated with the Twitter algorithm at this point, some external coders have found the data in the code. So, what he means is there are people who are so smart at reading code that they're reading references to stuff that is not in the code publicly. And here is information pulled out of those references that we're not supposed to know. Now, this, I believe it was shut down or something. So the Twitter algorithm 101, boost, likes 30x, retweets 20x, Twitter blue 2 to 4x, trusted circle 3x, images 2x, replies 1x, negatives, URL only, no text, mute, block, unfollow, report. Oh, well, those references are kind of plain Jane, simply out in the open. Yeah, they really were just out in the open. So, update, Twitter has now removed ranking data from the actual code base as it was old and unused. So this is the old mixer. Obviously it says Twitter Blue, right? We all noticed that, right? Okay. They still call, so you know, Premium is still Twitter Blue. Premium Plus is Plus. Twitter Plus. So the above summary you may or may not be accurate, but we don't know because Twitter's not sharing its official rankings. And this is per Twitter. This is an actual tweet or statement. The foundation of Twitter's recommendations is to set core models and features that extract latent information from tweets, users, and engagement data. These models aim to answer important questions about the Twitter networks, such as what is the probability you will interact with another user in the future, or what are their communities on Twitter and what are trending tweets within them. Answering these questions accurately enables Twitter to deliver more relevant recommendations. And I will admit, just as much as everybody else probably will say, Twitter's recommendations suck. They don't have a clue what people like. If you are getting good recommendations on any website currently, I'm sorry that you are too easy to be read like a book. Way too easy to be read. Because the algorithms that they're using are very slow in and BS. Okay, but here it is. It's not actually transparent. But I ain't just gonna leave you empty-handed because, like, we don't have to talk. I don't have to talk to throw you in here. And as you can see, because everything reloaded, I'm now not able to view this site. I'd have to go through and clear my cookies and reload this site to actually show you. But here, they actually have basically, the Python scripts to get data from Twitter. We're going to try something live, see if this works. I do gotta block you guys out. I gotta go into settings. When I get to the spot I need to in settings, I'll bring you back. So we're gonna go look for that cookie. So we're just gonna so we don't allow cookies. So check settings. Cookies. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Normally when I do this on my own, I don't even think. So I just click, and I'm there. It's like 2 clicks. So I don't normally use that. I go straight into them normally. Where is it at? I feel like I don't know where I'm at. Hold on a second. I feel like I don't know where I'm at. I know it's like 2 clicks. Come on, cookies. There it is. I swear it keeps moving. I know it really ain't, but it feels like it is. So what was it called? Anyone remember the name of the site? Delete that. And let's just try going back, paste and go. So this site is the one I was talking about. This actually gives you how to do it. How to find out whatever it is you need to find out. This site will tell you how to do it. Oh, they figured it out. It worked for a few seconds. I've actually been on the site. Like, you're supposed to only be able to come here like once for free. I've been on the site like 20 times. So to be honest, by this point, they got my IP address. Or a current IP address. So now we're going to go back. Alright. So algorithm is not giving us real information. We showed you how to get information so you can see what's actually going on. So now we're back in here. So this dish, you notice it's algorithm, SRC source, in case you're wondering. Scala, that's a type of miner. .com, Twitter, graph of data, batch work, direct jobs, Tweep Cred. Tweep Cred is a social network analyst tool that calculates the influence of Twitter users based on their interactions with other users. So dead serious, here we go. You want the how does Twitter do it? Let me give you that QR one more time. How does Twitter know who's gonna make them the most amount of money? Figure it out. It's right here. See that QR? Scan it. Show up. It's on GitHub. It's on GitHub. It's in the Twitter algorithm. It's all here. It does so much. It does so much. So much. It even gives you a rank number and everything. Like, you no longer have to question what they do. You can just figure it out on your own. So much information here related to it. I'm not going to go over it, but there it is. There's build. Right there. Right. Build. Let's put it together. Make it happen. So I was going through there more, and I noticed that they're not only do they have tons of issues, their issues are a fucking joke, man. Like, most of these issues listed on here are 1,000% a joke. For Elon Musk versus the right reply, method of certain automatic keyword analysis, Big Chungus if it was good. Like, stupid. Like, so much in here is just BS. Among Us, Sungus, Sussus. Not related to Twitter, just wanted to tell you all to oppose companies that still. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh, wait. Display bug in iOS. Look at that. Let's go, Brandon. No, that's not a display. See, it's BS. Oh, thank you, Brosiv, for the comment. Glad you enjoying it. So here I found an actual bug. Same bug I've been complaining about. Twitter is not written in C sharp or C pound. An objectively better language than Scala. It's so much better than Scala. To reproduce, not applicable. Expected behavior, the code written is highly performant and portable with C pound. Actual behavior, the code is written in the insufficient, slowest, and overrated Scala language, resulting in decreased performance of approximately 69%. Screenshots, not applicable. Environment, Windows 10 using Chrome, 125 point. Blah, blah, blah. So, very recent. The reason why it's written like this is that you have to write your thing like this. You're supposed to post stuff like this for them to read it. And what he's saying is not wrong. Just simply switching to the older, more efficient coding language would be better. Problem is, Scala can do over-the-wire plugs, so they can have over-the-wire scripting, or they can like change stuff literally over the wire. Meaning, like, I send something through a Scala, through something that I would call a Scala network. I don't know what you would actually call it, through a thing, and have it attack the Twitter system, and it will do the Twitter's algorithm will do what you tell it to. And Twitter can use that for like pushing cross-network updates and things like that. But it can also be used manipulatively, where someone can accidentally or force Twitter to give them virality when they do not actually deserve it or need it. And here we go. Here's a person, Mad Camel, which I believe they actually have some good credit here on GitHub, so it's a fairly good coder. Says, I don't even use Twitter, and I agree a new language would improve things a lot. Maybe written assembly language, though. Assembly is objectively faster, which is true. Assembly would be faster than both C# and Scala. But they could just write the machine code by hand without needing to compile anything. And in that case, actually, I've seen 1,000 times before where writing stuff down directly in the machine code is not as fast as writing an assembly. Writing a large portion of your complex stuff in assembly is always faster than C#, but then C and C# is actually faster than assembly if you're not doing any assembly calls within that code structure. So, I mean, like, there's a lot of ways you can take C or C pound um, and assembly and machine code and get a much faster system out of very complex interworking net systems. The problem is you would actually have to hire some older coders and people who actually know what they're doing. And that's the problem. It would cost them a lot of money. And then I think the estimated cost of like just like the last time they had to do like a major network upgrade that involved like technically shutting off something to turn something on. I'd always like to say it's like turning off a computer to turn on a computer, but I know it's not always that technically. But it was like over $1 million the last time they had to do something like that. Twitter in cost. That meant people, operations, the people running their servers. It's tons of companies. So they have to get them all situated in that cost, and it's on the spot necessary. So it's extra money, and it costs a lot of money. So doing something like this would be a multi-million-dollar operation to do. But think about this. It would only take a few seconds once you have to do it. Once you spend the time out, you spend the years it takes for someone to peoples to come up with the actual better systems or whatever written in these three setups, these three languages, and then it would take literally seconds to switch over. And if the most happens 30 seconds later, it still don't work, switch back, 30 seconds later, you're back up. And then you can figure out why, what happened, and then try again. And stuff that we used to be willing to do the companies now won't do it because, it's not going to make their stock look very good. Oh, right. Okay, so that's the end of what we have. Because it really is a joke nowadays. What we're dealing with, and I honestly like when I saw the thing about conduit, and because I've dealt with conduit and I've done testing with it and stuff, and I've had worse systems than conduit. I've come across worse. So I'm like, if someone was to say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna endorse conduit," it's like, you know, there are better ones out there, like tons of better ones. I want to say flaw, but I know that's not the right one. Um, but that's my point. Is like, if it wasn't for just me coming across his tweet and being like, "What?" For a person who's big into security, why would you pick one of the least secure protocoling systems or consensus models or cloud system even? And and it came down to a local AI's GitHub was infiltrated years ago by some bot maker to, if you're using Facebook, Twitter, um, it's like the top 6 platforms for interacting socially. That actually includes LinkedIn. Then you have a chance of this AI technically going rogue and posting bot script, and you'll never be able to find it because it could be pulling it and running it through its own APIs that you had to give it permission for it to use. And even if it's even if it's like air gapped or network separated, or it's injected by a physical machine on command, it's still going to be able to control its way and method to post. It's still going to find a method and way to post. And some of these bot makers are putting these scripts in extremely base formats, and they're being broken out to where, like we saw in that episode I mentioned earlier, just preloading information runs the script. So you're kind of screwed. You can't trust it. And that's, again, you can't trust anything. It's all about the verify. But until it happens to you, and even in a manner where you know you're an expert, you know what you're doing, until it happens, it's never really going to click. And that's probably the scariest part of it. You know what I mean? Because if you're just telling yourself, oh, well, when it clicks, it clicks. What happens when you think it clicked and then a decade or 2 decades later, it, you realize it didn't click? By that time, it's just too late.